Hello, my name is Ryan Oliveira. Today I would like to speak with you all about a couple of rules about the way we communicate. And now, when I say something like that, I'm sure you're wondering, what do you mean there's no rules in communication? And that's pretty normal. They're not actual rules that we have to adhere to when we speak with one another. They're more so just rules that when we have begun to study and pay attention to the way we communicate, we've discovered that we can point out a couple specific ways that we communicate and define them, and by looking into that further, become more effective communicators. So the first rule that I would like to speak with you all about is pretty simple. It is known as the explicit rules of communication. So the explicit rules of communication have been clearly articulated to you throughout your life. There's something that you've been formally told that is the right way or the incorrect way to communicate with another person. So perhaps when you were younger at the dinner table, excited to talk about your day, your parent or whoever else might have told you, hey, chew your food, don't talk with your mouth full, we'll talk to you in a second. Just take a moment, calm down. So at a young age, we get taught these explicit rules of communication, and that builds up to where we are now. An example of an explicit rule of communication today might be, when we join a new course, we get our syllabus, and inside of that, it tells us expressly, this is when our instructor is available to communicate. This is how he prefers communication. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a text message. Maybe that's how he wants to communicate, and he's expressly telling you those rules. And then more so, an express rule of communication is be professional. That is very explicit at all times of your OTC career. So that is a good way to look at explicit rules of communication. Very simple. Something that slightly more complex, just takes a little bit of thinking about for a moment, would be the implicit rules of communication. So by definition, the implicit rules of communication are rules that aren't spoken or articulated to you. So they might just be formally accepted by two individuals, by a group, people, maybe an online chat room, but there are implicit rules of communication. So an example of that might be perhaps you are in a conversation with your instructor and you get a thought and you want to chime in real quickly. Essentially, the implied rule would be to wait your turn. Don't interrupt him while he's speaking. Wait until he's finished, because that's the respectful thing to do, and it's something that we accept as normal when we communicate today. Another implied rule of communication might be you're waiting for an elevator, you notice one door open up and it's full of people. And implied rule of human communication is don't barge your way in. Be respectful, wait your turn for that elevator to come up, come down, whatever it's going to do, get on the next one. We communicate in more ways than just speaking with people. We communicate with our actions. So if you barge your way into that elevator, you're communicating with those people about who you are. And it goes even further. There's new implied rules of communication all the time as communication evolves. Nowadays, as we use our phones to communicate, more than ever, we're using emoticons. And a new implied rule of communication might be that how do we know what this person's thinking if they don't leave an emoji to tell me how they feel? So that is becoming a new implied rule of communication of expressly showing the person you're speaking with what you mean using emoticons or other short forms of text, so that way they don't just see a plain quick text message. So explicit rules of communication, they're formal, they're articulated, they're easy to understand. The implicit rules of communication are implied. Sometimes you have to look for them, but when you understand the explicit and implicit rules around the setting that you're communicating in, you can be the most effective communicator possible. Thank you for your time.